Before we get into the video, you should know that I made a Discord server, which is an easy way for my community to interact with others. To join it, click the link below. Back to the video. I got banned from Roblox for a week, so I decided to go to the Microsoft Store version of Roblox, make a new account, and rate some of the horror games that exist on that version of Roblox. And plus, I am an actual Roblox horror game developer. Also because I need to upload so my channel doesn't die out. The first game is It Lurks. It Lurks was made by Blocks and was originally made in mid-2019. The game takes place in the main character's house. For the main player, you keep on having these nightmares, and they eventually turn vivid, and it shows that these nightmares are real. Then you have to go through the story of how your character escapes with the rest of their family. During these times where the Roblox genre of single-player horror games really popped off in popularity. The overall concept of the player needing to escape in a confined area from something is pretty much what all horror games follow. It adds with the constant feeling how something is going to happen with the dead silence in the background, which most games don't do and they usually just add an ambulance. Only problem is that the player very heavily is based in dreams, since almost everything you see is in dream until one part. Besides that, it's pretty original. Throughout the game, there are several differences in gameplay. Some chapters are mostly you walking around, some chapters include the occasional gameplay of monsters, some chapters include entirely of gameplay. It Lurks has a broad perspective of gameplay, shows that the creator wanted to try something new, rather than having the exact same monster over and over. The graphics of It Lurks does show that the creator did put time and effort into the maps. But once it gets to a large scale of those maps, you can see those small little imperfections. Obviously, I'm not going to judge it too hard since, well, it's Roblox, and back in 2019, graphics of those games don't matter, but in this year, it does. The next game is called Obby, and it was created by Unknown Testimony in early 2021. This takes place in an obby where everything's off. Your hands are shaking, the environment looks plastic-like, and all of the bugs around you look high. This game takes on the horror aspect of Roblox old obbies, obviously. I've only seen ever one other Roblox horror obby game. This one does a really good job on it because of the sound design and overall feel to it. Even though there's no jump scares in the entire game, it does a great job of thinking that you're gonna expect something. Unfortunately, the gameplay is lacking. The entire concept of the game is based on an obby, although it's just the first bit of the game where it's an actual obby, and then it turns mainly into just running. Out of a 20-minute video, 10 minutes of it was simply just walking across a plank. At the very end, it did take on a 2D version, which was pretty nice, but the gameplay of it wasn't nice since you needed to spam several times to move. The graphics within this game takes a dip into the start of the Uncanny Valley. You could tell that it's Roblox-like graphics, but an attempt at making everything seem realistic is a good touch. The 2D style at the end also looks good, but the overall game is extremely dark, so you usually have to crank up your brightness to see any of it. The third game is called the Rake Remastered. The Rake Remastered is a remaster of the old game, the Rake. Obviously, this version was made in early 2022. Supposedly, your bus crashed from an overpass above and now you need to survive the night. The first version of this game came out a while ago. I can't find the exact time, but during this time, there were tons of fan games, which shows how creative the idea was. The gameplay is almost the exact same loop. It's nighttime, and then when all the scariness comes out. And it's extremely dark. Survive the night, turns into daytime, where you get more supplies for the next night, and repeat. Although it seems like that's all you can do in the game, you can attempt to kill the Rake, preferably with your buddies. Unlike the original, the remastered game has significantly better graphics overall, and the entire environment is different. You can tell how effective it is because they use still the exact same trees from the original game, but it seems like a giant step up in the graphics. Only downside is they use a lot of models from the toolbox for areas in the game and items, but I ain't judging too hard. Next up is Alone. Alone is a game made by Railsoft, and within the recent times, it's gotten several controversies. The game was made in late 2022. You're a housekeeper looking after the house, and already you could tell it's inspired from Doors. It has a certain feel of the area that you can tell is definitely referenced from it. Only thing that's really creative is the story acting and the voice acting, which you can tell is usually just an 18-year-old attempting the voice lines.
The watchman of this mansion. Listen to me carefully, kid.
You can interact with drawers to pick up items to help you through the game. Like another game I know, huh? Like medkits and chocolate bars. The sprinting system is painfully bad. The overall gameplay is very copy and paste, especially with jump scares, where just loud audio is played. AI is also bad. There are several bugs with it, and other objects you use to defend yourself also has bugs. There are literally bugs everywhere. Even in other people's videos, by just playing the game, they encountered several bugs too. Also, the game is very heavy on pay to win. Even though I stated it before, it's extremely similar to Doors. Problem is with the game, that it copies almost every mechanic that Door has. Obviously some parts are original. Any other part than that though, is not original at all.
Quick side note. There is an entire doc talking about Alone's problem. It goes from the devs underpaying, to the team somehow being $600K in debt. There will be a link to it in the description.
For the last game, we will be reviewing Chain. Chain is a story game that's being constantly updated by two people and was made in mid-2022. Chain is a horror story game, obviously, that can be played with either single player or multiplayer. The overall design is pretty cool, and overall the creativity is pretty nice. Also, there are arcade-like game modes in the multiplayer tab. Like example, the survival one, which is only the other one that you can play, is just like the Rake Remastered. Everything else is new though, like the characters, the storyline, even voice lines which are coming up in the next chapter. Within the story, the overall gameplay is simple: avoid the monster by hiding, crouching out the way to stay hidden. But within the first chapter you have to do several different tasks, like how you have to talk to the soldier, turn on generators, somehow shut down an entire military camp by turning on a computer, but I'm not going to look into that. Within the game, all the graphics are designed to be highly detailed. The game does a really good job on keeping the game from not blowing up iPhones. Within the game though, some of the assets were floating all around, so I suspect that some of the models were taken from the toolbox. And that's it. Thanks for watching the video. I'll probably make a part 2, but probably not within like the next couple of weeks. And before you go, make sure you click that link in the description for the Discord server.